that was the last piece of 2x2 running around the perimeter of the box. I've got all my ribs in place. So what I need to do now is set this aside and bring my glued up bottom piece back in here, unclamp it, put the inlay piece in, and then we'll be ready to attach this to that bottom. Here's the piece that we glued up earlier. Now I'm gonna make a 3/4 inch wide dado in this to accept a piece of cherry inlay like this. This is exactly 3/4 of an inch wide, so using a 3/4 inch router bit, it should fit right in there. And I'm set probably somewhere between 3/16 and a strong 1/8 thick. Now I made this straight edge guide so that I don't have to worry about the cut. The way it works, the edge of the router rides against this edge, the guide edge, but this edge right here shows me exactly where the cut's gonna be. That's because I actually made this oversized first, ran the router down the length of it, so that gives me exactly the cut that the router's gonna make. I can just put the edge right against here and take off. But there's one other thing that I kinda have to worry about. If my router rocks any during the process, I'm not gonna have a straight line to lay my veneer in. I'll actually have a mess. So I'm gonna take this piece of material, which is the same thickness material that my jig's made out of, and I'm just gonna lay it down here. So that gives me something for both sides of my router base to rest on. Now, as long as I keep the edge of my router against the fence, I should just get a perfect cut. So that gives me the long vertical piece. I'm going to lay out a couple of cross ribbons that are just for style. And just looking at this, I'm going to say I want it to be right there, which is about 16 inches up from the bottom. So this is going to be the same process. I just measured up 16 3/4 to the edge since I wanted my, my inlay piece to start 16 inches from the bottom. I've got my extra piece in place so that my router can't tilt, and I'm just going to make a pass right across here. That made a great cut. Now all I'm going to do is move down to the other end, come up 16, and make the exact same cut. Then we'll be ready to add our inlay pieces. So we've got the whole grid laid out. The next thing I need to do though is vacuum a whole bunch of this sawdust off of here, and I'm going to just lightly sand it, and I'll be ready to take some measurements to put my inlay pieces in. So when I made this veneer, I spent quite a bit of time making sure I had exactly the right width where it was going to go right down in that 3/4 inch groove. And I also did a test cut in a scrap piece of plywood so that I could make sure I had that depth really, really close. Put just a little bit of glue behind this piece of inlay. Now, it's a very, very tight fit, so there's not really any place for glue to squeeze out. So I need to be careful not to put too much glue in, and then I'm just going to use some 5/8 headless pins to hold it in place. I won't do any sanding right now because we're going to be flipping this around and handling it some more. I'm going to wait until we've got the whole thing in place, and then I'll come back and sand it. But for right now, I'm going to go and put a little bit of glue behind it and nail it in with some headless pins. That is not going to take very much sanding at all. Well, that piece went in just fantastic. I'm going to test fit my other pieces, get them exactly the way I want them, then we'll glue and nail them in too.